Hey, y'all, what's up? Welcome to the latest and greatest episode of the Black People Parenting Podcast. Of course, you know me, Dion the Glad Dad. I am here with my wonderful, wonderful counterpart for these sessions that we are doing around health and wellness, Dr. Bambi Gaddis. And since it is Men's Health Awareness Month, I believe that's what we're calling it, Men's Health Awareness Month, and also
Yes.
Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, also, I believe. We are doing this series where we talk to brothers about the importance of health and the importance of mental health. If you caught the show a couple of days ago, we had Coach Ken Blocker on, and he talked about health and wellness for young men and young athletes and what we can do to be sure that our young men are staying healthy and making healthy decisions. Today, as we get ready to close out Men's Health Awareness Month, I got two brothers that I know. I'm not sure what Mr. Jones is doing. I got two brothers. There we go. I got two brothers that I know very well who happen to both be barbershop owners. So I feel like the barbershop is the cornerstone of the Black community. It is the cornerstone for men. It is a place where we as men can go and talk and have conversations and do all sorts of things that we just can't necessarily do um, in the presence of women all the time, right? So I want to welcome Mr. Kevin Jones. I want to welcome Mr. Reggie Lewis. Reggie owns Barber Kings in Raleigh, and Kev owns Big Kev's Cutting It Up Lounge. Did I say that right?
Big Kev's Barber Lounge.
Big Kev's Barber Lounge. I'm sorry, Big Kev's Barber Lounge. Welcome them gentlemen to the show, and we'll get started. I'll start off with the first question that I want to pose to both of you all. And that question, I'll start with Mr. Jones. What do you think? Well, let me preface this. Let me go back 1 second, because I want to say something. Because
I need
Kev and
you.
go, what do you say, Dr. G?
When you get done with your intro, I need to acknowledge something very quickly.
Okay.
You go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead and make your acknowledgement now.
I'm not sure if Reggie or Kevin know, but June 27th, which is today, is National HIV Testing Day.
No, I wasn't aware of that.
This is National HIV Testing Day. And one of the outcomes of what I hope this conversation is going to be about, because that's what the HIV Clinical Trials Network asks us to do, is to bring in new partners. And so I plan to follow up with you, young men, afterward, because next June 27th, you're probably going to be giving out condoms, you're going to have out health information, and you're going to be promoting HIV testing with whoever walks in your doors. So I'm excited about this conversation.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you for that announcement, Dr. G. What I was going to say is that, and I'm trying to share this on Facebook real quick. I want to do the. What I was going to say is that Reg and Kev used to work in the same barbershop, and I was a patron of that barbershop. And I've had this conversation with both of them. The barbershop was Wooten's Barbershop in Knightdale, here where we are in North Carolina. And I have this conversation with both of them, and I will say this, and I will stand on this hill, is that there has never been another barbershop in my 40 plus years of living that will compare to Wooten's Barbershop.
Exactly.
Facts.
No
Hands
barbershop in the world.
Hands down.
I stand on that. Right. That's what I'm getting to, Dr. G.
Okay.
And so with that being said, I want to ask Kev and Reg, what makes barbershops such a special place for us as Black men?
Go ahead, Kev.
Well, what makes the barbershop a special place is that for Black men, it's our outlet. It's our country club. It's a place where we can go and be ourselves. A lot of Black men cannot be themselves at work, can't be themselves at home. And I'm not saying in the way where you're faking. I'm saying in a way where you just want to unwind, tell a joke, laugh, cuss a little bit. However, it's a place of no judgment. We're going to laugh. We're going to pick on you. We're going to joke on you. At the end of the day, it's all love. And then some men just want to be able to be heard. And they're not heard at work. They're not heard at home. You know, they're dealing with problems, dealing with issues at work, they're dealing with issues at home. Sometimes they just want to come and relax and debrief. So I feel like the barbershop is very, very vital to the African American community because it's our way of, to express ourselves and it's our outlet.
That's good. Reg, what you think?
Most definitely agree with everything Kev just said. The piggyback on it, it's also a place where me as a young guy coming into the barbershop, not having an active father figure, it gave me gentlemen to look up to. I met you through there. I met Kevin through there. Of course, Wayne through there. I met some guys that I still call and confide in to this day. Like, yo, I got this issue going on, X, Y, and Z. How can I handle that? So it's really a gathering place. Like, and I'm always mindful of what I say because I was an impressionable young man in the barbershop at one time. So when I got young kids in there, I'm always mindful of what I say. You know, I like to laugh and joke and cut up a lot, but I don't want to say a lot of ignorant things amongst smaller kids because they might grasp onto it. Kev might just take it with a grain of salt. But for somebody that's 15, 16, 17, you know, I like to laugh and joke with them, but I always want to hit them with jewels. But just for that place, man, it was a place of maturity for me. Like I learned so much amongst grown men, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, that it's really a place that's, for black men, I don't think there's a comparison to it. I don't think you can walk into a building and sit beside a dope boy and a doctor and a police officer all in the same setting, and it's all love. I don't think nothing in America compares to that.
So with that being said, since we are talking about health and wellness, Kev, I know you've been cutting for a very long time. Reg, you've been cutting for 5 years? About 5 years?
2016.
Man, that's a long time.
Wow.
You're an old boy.
Wow.
You're an old boy. So
Okay.
I want to ask both of you, how do you all promote health and wellness amongst your clientele in the shop? Because it can be easy for us to kind of get comfortable. And I think I was sharing with Kev, one of the things that stood out to me that made me choose these two guys for this conversation is I remember hearing a conversation about someone who was having issues with their prostate while sitting in Woodward's Barbershop one time, right? So how do you all promote health and wellness to your clientele?
Well, now, I mean, being 45, man, I start a conversation. Hey, man, I went to the doctor. Being married, man, my wife makes sure I go to the doctor. So I talk about it like that. That's my segue, and it may open up like, well, hey, man, have you had your prostate checked? Well, I'm not at that age yet. Do you go to the doctor regularly? You know what I'm saying? Because at this point in our lives, we have to go get physicals. We have to go when we get some aches and pains, man. We can't just say, oh, it'll be all right. Put some Bengay or some alcohol on. Them days are done. So I talk about it. It could be something on TV. It could be anything that can have a segue. If we watching the news in the morning, I'm like, okay, cool. But when the last time you been to the doctor? A long time ago, it used to be one of them conversations that we shied away from because, black men didn't like to talk about health. They didn't like to talk about death. You know what I'm saying? It is, oh, I'm going to be all right. But now it's not as hard. I mean, if I use myself as an example, I say, hey, I went to the doctor last week, man. I had to leave early because I had a doctor's appointment. Or, or my wife makes sure she schedules my doctor's appointment on Mondays when I'm off. And that's how the conversation come up. And believe it or not, a lot of people would just be like, yeah, man, me too. I'm dealing with that too. Or, I had high blood pressure or I got diabetes, I'm like, what, really? And you don't have to be a big guy. You don't have to be a small guy because I've seen a lot of small brothers that, that are really diabetics, man. And it's like, wow, I didn't know you was dealing with that, because you look good on the outside, but on the inside, we dealing with a lot.
Reg, what you think?
Yeah, same thing. So my dad has prostate cancer, and I think it's stage 3 prostate cancer. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I'm 4 times as likely to have prostate cancer. So we was talking about, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, And I'm 35, but I told him when I went to my last annual physical, I told him, like, he was like, yo, do you want to check it? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Like, it can't hurt. Like, even though I'm 35, I'm a whole bunch of years off. That's still gonna be something I do every day because I don't want I don't want to expedite my death. You know, just not taking advantage of opportunities I could. And I also like to make sure my guys, you know, we laugh and joke, we talk about sex, this, but I always I joke and be like, yo, you putting the condom on, right? Or you ain't
Right.
sliding there without no rubber on, right? So I always try to throw that out there, man, because not only is it unhealthy, man, you don't want to just have a kid by the wrong person. And I also like to talk about mental health over anything because you know when people come and sit in that chair, they be dealing with a lot. Like you gotta sometimes you need an outlet because you take some of that shit home with you. Like, you know, a guy that came in, he done told you about, and we all deal with the same things, man. Most black men, you know, you have children out of wedlock, so you're dealing with an upset baby mama over here. You might have two. So those things are really draining on guys. And I see it when they come in the chair, man. I see it like they just, oh man, let me tell you about this motherfucker right here and X, Y, and Z. And for real, man, like I always be like, yo, man, make sure you take you some time for you, man. I don't know your outlet. I don't know if you're a video game guy. I don't want to say, hey, man, go have a drink. I mean, I will. Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. I say, hey, man, go have you a drink, but just get you some alone time to decompress, man, because, you know, as a man, black man, growing up, I was always taught to man up. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you got to cry, bro, go in your car, cry, man, hit me up. Like, I'm here for you, bro. I'm not a judgmental person at all. And I think a lot of black guys don't have that outlet because you've been told your whole life, man up, nigga, man up. You know, and it's okay to cry, man. And I tell cats, man, I like to check on their mental health. Honestly, I can do a better job with your overall wellness. But those two things, man, making sure you strap up and making sure your mental okay.
So, question, in light of National Testing Day, do you all carry condoms in your barbershops?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How do you buy them or do you get them from someone?
We usually get them from Wake Med, but you know the crazy thing, I mean not Wake Med, Wake County. They haven't been in about 2 months, so we still got probably about 15 left in there.
Do you know the name of your local AIDS service organization?
No, ma'am.
So that's one recommendation. When I served as CEO of the South Carolina HIV Council Right Wellness Center, we had a clinic. We also treated STDs. So we had ongoing relationships with stylists and with barbershop owners, and we had staff go out and keep them replenished with condoms, etc. I would encourage you to, and I could probably find it at some point, a AIDS service organization near you, because many of them are funded to make sure you get access to that.
Okay.
So if the health department has not been able to get out there to you, you have every right as a citizen to call the health department, ask them who distributes condoms, you want them in your barbershop, and have them bring them to you, or look for your local AIDS service organization.
Okay.
Do you all carry information, booklets, brochures, or anything? Are there posters up in your barbershops to kind of trigger people's thoughts?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
I don't.
So that may also be something. A lot of campaigns are going on with these service organizations, and they need community linkages, because you have men, and you spoke really eloquently about the fact that our black men have a unique set of stressors that they're dealing with, and they don't always have the mentorship there to guide them, and so your place is a haven.
Yes.
And I know, as a woman who has no hair, who hasn't had hair in decades, who uses barbershops, and I have a faithful barbershop owner that does my hair. When I come in there, because of my public health work, typically they'll say, okay, what we talking about today? Because I learn from talking to those men, and we get into it now. I mean, we've gotten into some attitude and belief issues. So here's my dig-in question. So, what kind of conversations you all have in there about the LGBT community? What do you hear from your clients? Um, I'm assuming you have clients, but what is the communication in your business around that in case someone was sitting in your chair and you didn't know who they really were?
Well, honestly speaking, um, the conversation is like, they have a lot of rights. Everything stops for them. We respect everybody, but a lot of guys always talk about, they wish the heterosexual had a lot of the rights that the LGBTQ community has. Um, but we respect everybody. Other than that, back in the day, everybody talk about, AIDS, and they always associate that, if you're gay, you automatically, you spread and all that good stuff. But you have people out here that's a part of that community, that are good people, but we just try to, when it comes to that right there, we kind of tread the line kind of thin, because that thing can go either way. And like you said, you don't know who's sitting in the chair. And then if you say some, just voicing your opinion, somebody would take that and be like, oh, he has a problem with, our community. And next thing you know, you got picketers, you might get shut down. So I'm just being honest.
And that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Reggie, your
Not
thoughts?
everybody though, but
Your thoughts?
Yes, ma'am. So I have a daughter that's a part of that community. So that's actually giving me
Me
a
too.
a different uh, a different outlook on it. So there's some things that I would normally have said prior that I would never say now, and
Right.
it's some things that, like, when I would never allow anybody to come in my barbershop and say faggot this, faggot that,
Right.
because now it kind of like cuts me a little bit, because if someone was to use those derogatory words of my daughter, it'd be a real issue. So yeah, no, I try not to. Nah, we don't use that. We don't use that in the shop. It's really like, yeah, like the only thing that's off limits when it's just amongst men in the barbershop, because you never know, and I don't want to run a potential client away because of homophobia. But I think in 2024, man, it's really not a big issue in the barbershop anymore.
Oh
I
yeah,
have a few.
yes.
I wouldn't say it's an uncomfortable issue. It used to be a point when a homosexual walked into a barbershop, everything fucking stopped. It's just like scared. The record stopped everything. But
Yeah.
now, speaking from my barbershop, man, I just want everybody to be comfortable, because I don't. As long as you got a little few dollars in your pocket, I'm gonna serve you. Whether you identify as a dog, a rat, a bird, it don't matter. You got some money, you
Right.
can get service, and you can get treated with the best customer service that I can give you. But
Exactly.
as far as the uncomfortable, it's not as uncomfortable for you to be. But the conversation is still an ongoing conversation. Just like Kevin stated before, a lot of straight black males feel like they got more rights than we do. And yeah.
So let me pose a question, because, and this is something that I actually take issue with, is that what we're starting to see now is we're starting to see the barbershop sort of scale down a little bit, right? So I don't know.
What you
I don't
mean?
know the bar.
I mean,
So growing up, when I was growing up, right, my barbershop was Seymour's Barbershop on Campostella Road in North Virginia, right? You would walk in Seymour's Barbershop, there would be at least 6 barbers on this side, 4 on this side, right?
Absolutely.
So you probably had 10 barbers in there, which helped to build that sense of community.
True,
right?
true.
When I came here to Wootens, I think the most I've ever saw at Wootens was 3 and a possible maybe 4, maybe.
Right.
But you see the same thing with beauty salons. Like, women don't have that beauty salon experience. They have the suites. They have someone who does their hair in a suite, right? So are we losing the sense of community that we once had in the barbershop because the shops for whatever reason. I mean, I'm assuming because people are entrepreneurs. Like again, Reg, you started at Woodwinds, you went and branched out and did your own thing. Kev now is the owner of the shop. So you know what I mean. I think that might have something to do with it. But are we losing that sense of community that was once there in the barbershop?
Yeah, I think we're losing it.
Yes.
I would say we're losing it because it's kind of two ways that. One, like myself, will go by appointments. So it used to be a point where everybody would get to the barbershop. If they open up at Saturday at 7, you got people out there waiting at 5:36. So you may walk into a barbershop when the barbershop open, it may be 9, 10 people coming in and sit down waiting for 4 hours, 5 hours possibly.
That's right.
And the suites are a big thing now. Just like you're saying, there's some barbers now like, okay, I'm paying this guy $200 a week, $250 a week, when I can give this suite $350 a week, $400 a week, and it can be mine. I can have it just like I want to.
Right.
And so absolutely, just the name of the game has changed, man. A lot of people not into waiting 5-6 hours for a haircut anymore, which I think the barbershop is not as fun as it used to be. And it's most definitely not as fun as it used to be. When you walk in, like it was Fridays when I knew I was going to see X, Y, and Z. And those days, they're really not the same anymore.
Yeah,
they gone, man.
Ms. Moore, you have someone who's listening in who's given some important commentary. And one of the things you said was what I was going to ask you. What impact did COVID have on your business?
That was it. That's what I was getting ready to say. When COVID hit, the whole
game changed.
Right. The whole barbershop atmosphere changed when the government came in and shut us down for 3 months, and the risk of getting COVID, and being shut down for 3 months. And then when people started trickling back in, you lost clients. People didn't want to be around other folks. Everyone, then they had all these underlying health issues that they didn't know they had. And now they're like, man, I can't be out here like that. So as it slowly but surely started opening back up, even as a barber, and this is my 24th year as being a barber, I seen the whole 360, just like Reg was talking about. We used to be on a holiday time, and
Easter
Reggie,
Easter Friday.
Our last client could be 12 midnight, and then we got to get a haircut. Even though as a barber it was fun because we was laughing and joking and cutting up, but it's like, wow. But now being that I'm on strictly appointments, I know how much money I'm gonna make today, this week, and I know I'm not going to be there till 11, 12 o'clock at night. But I think
just said that the barbers now come to your house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, have to pay
they
for
will.
That, though. You most definitely have to pay for that.
You're gonna have to pay me though.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking barbershop fees. So don't even start. If anybody watching, don't get no tricks in your head unless you're ready to pay. So, and I ain't coming to your house anyway. You might have something out there I ain't trying to bring home to me. So, but the point I'm making is,
you did say you were married, right?
Come again?
I said you did say you were married, right?
I am.
I think that's a potential risk as well. When a male barber going into a home could potentially bring a whole lot of
bed bugs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Dr. Lee, let me tell you something. Big Kev, he talked tough, right? But he is the most accommodating barber that I have ever had in my life. When I tell you, Big Kev has cut my hair at my job at the radio station, Dr. G. I'm at work talking on the radio. Kev came, put the cape on, cut my hair. Nobody else would do that. So he talked that talk, but he is the nicest, most accommodating barber that you're gonna find.
Yeah,
because of who you are. Because of who you are.
Thank you, sir.
But we had a barber that we let come into our office, and he'd bring his stuff, and whoever was getting cut would get cut. And so I think that not only is the barber a person who lays a platform to educate and serve as a mechanism for communication, they also build these relationships that overcome location. and they have an opportunity in going into spaces that they don't traditionally work in to bring that information with them wherever they may go. And so I look at barbers like, I don't know, I see them in a way like a health ministry that if given, which takes me to my question. So you said, Reggie, that when did you get your license?
2016.
And Kevin, you got your license when?
99.
Okay. Question. In your course of study, because HIV was alive and well,
yes,
as it is right now, what coursework, what universal precautions, what training did you receive as a barber that would make you more aware of infectious disease? I mean, outside of things that are transmitted through poorly sterilized equipment and yada, yada, yada. I'm talking specifically about infections that are transmitted from one person to another. HIV not necessarily being one of those, but because it's bloodborne.
right.
And because you all cut faces and, I mean, God knows you don't want to cut anybody, but you never know. It happens. Did they train you? Did they talk about it? And if they did not, do you get what do you call it? Recertification hours where you get brought up to speed on what's happening in the HIV infectious disease realm of public health?
Well, one thing that really changed the game for us coming up, I say in the late 90s to current, is disposable razors. Because back in the day they had the regular razor with the strop, and they just resharpen the blade and they shave. But being HIV, that when that hit, ushering up to the 90s or whatever, disposable razors really came into effect. So once you shave, you can dispose of that razor. And of course, the 5-in-1 Barbershop clipper spray, disinfecting your tools and all that good stuff, and washing your hands. And the main thing, washing your hands, because, and moving forward to like gloves, wearing gloves, stuff like that. Back in the day, barbers really didn't do that. They was really more hands-on, and they had a strop, they resharpened the razor, and they went back to work. But now we have different procedures that we can do. We shave, we throw that razor, dispose of that razor, put a new one in. We use different towels now. We got different sanitation levels that we go to now compared to back in the day.
Hey man, do people still get tapeworms like back in the day? A ringworm? They still get that? Back in the day, you used to get a little joint. Your mama tell you put some pee on it and put a penny up there. Huh?
Yeah.
They still do that.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but they do.
Huh. Your kids
I had one back in the day.
That for a little bit.
Can I just COVID for a minute? Are you? I guess I'm getting personal here. Did you all decide to be vaccinated?
No, I'm not vaccinated.
I am.
Did that conversation come up?
Yeah, in the barbershop, absolutely.
Oh, of course.
Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts about vaccinations, especially? I mean, you're doing so much human contact work, with folks coming in just like status unknown, and so when I think about your level of potential exposure with folks coming in that you don't know their status, I mean, I certainly equate that to being intimate with someone unprotected and don't know their status. So they have precautions we take with intimacy, and condoms is only one of the many things that could be used or performed. But with COVID, there's some options where we could wash our hands. That's been noted. You can cover your face, but then you get into when those things are not done because of the shaving and all of that. What's the next line of protection? So I'm always very interested in what is the rationale when someone decides, given the number of people coming in that they don't know status, why they choose not to. Is that getting too personal?
No, for me, I just didn't want to take it. I didn't feel comfortable taking it, and I didn't take it.
I took it. I wanted to take it, and because I felt at the time I wanted to protect myself, my family, and I knew the type of work I did. So at all costs, I wanted to make sure safety was first for me, and that was my reasoning.
So let me just put this out here, Dion, and I'll yield. I mean, obviously, as a public health advocate, and as a woman who will be 69 in September, I have this sensitivity to trying to stay alive. And so one of the things that we've been able to confirm, not just for Black men, but Black folks, period, is number one, we have some of we are still struggling with encouraging our community to immunize. We're not immunizing our children, which is why we're seeing this upsurge of measles, things that we thought we got rid of, chicken pox, measles, traditional childhood things that we thought we had eliminated are now coming back because parents, caregivers are not vaccinating children. I've had COVID. I used to be a flu antagonist. I refused to get a flu shot, but as I read more data about people dying from flu because of the intense strains of flu, I finally made a decision to do that. I've had shingles. If you are a Black individual who's 50 and certainly 60 and up, shingles vaccines is something you definitely have to learn about because it's a painful experience, I'm told. And then RSV, which is for upper respiratory infections. I've been vaccinated against RSV. And so I probably will, I don't know if I'm going to glow in the dark one day, but I can tell you, my mother passed at 97, and my goal, not that I think I'll live that long, I have some vices I need to overcome, but I want to live. Right. And I don't want to just survive. I don't want to be bedridden or wheeled around if I can help it. Now, if that's my destiny, I can't change that. But self-preservation is everything. And I will end on saying that, again, because of the influence that barbers have, it's important to me, anyways, public health. And I'm going to put in the chat a website. It is the hvtn.org website where the clinical trials that are being done with COVID and other kinds of prevention efforts, the people and Black folks who are very much a part of the creation of these vaccines are part of trying to explain to lay persons what are the vaccines, what are they made of, who do they test them on. And COVID is one of the first vaccines in a long, long time when we had a whole lot of Black folks say, I'll be part of the solution. I'll take part in the vaccine trials. And that's why we were able to come up with something that worked for us, because we were part of its creation and not just bystanders who said, well, they ain't make it for me, they made it for them. But in fact, this is one of the many, but certainly one of the few that we were part of creating.
Right. I wanna go back just a little bit and kind of talk about specific illnesses, like Reg talked about prostate cancer and things like that. Those are things that we don't, as men, always talk about, or we're scared to address because, of course, I don't want anybody to put their finger in my butt, right? How can we change the narrative around things like prostate awareness, colonoscopy, all of these things that are men specific that oftentimes we neglect because of what we fear is going to happen, and we feel like we're going to get our manhood taken away from us if we do this, right? Which actually goes back to the LGBTQ conversation, because as men, we feel like we don't want to be at times associated with anything that's considered as gay, right? And getting your prostate checked, where the doctor gotta put his fingers up there, that to some could seem like an act of homosexuality, right? How can we change that narrative so we are getting those checks?
I think I'm sorry, go ahead, Rich.
You go ahead, bro. You good.
Education is the key, you know. In the perfect world, I feel like the way we get people to rally, to vote, to go stand against and stand up for a cause, I think we need to have that same type of attitude when it comes to our health, you know, and to rally up, to do rallies, to get men out, just like you get people out to vote. How can we get, you know, remember they had something like take a brother to a doctor. Remember that? What's going on?
Tom Joyner, take a loved one to the doctor. Tom Joyner
to the doctor. I think we need to get back to that, and we need to have more conversations like this. So when they see people like us talking about situations like this, it kind of makes them feel a little comfortable. And how Reggie could be so transparent and open. He's always been that way. But we need more men like that, because as soon as someone hear Reg say, hey, that's no problem, I did it, I'm going, they hear me, they hear you, somebody like, you know what, I think I'm going to try it. They're not going to openly say it, but at least they'll go. You know, and I think we need to rally up about taking care of our men in the community. I don't just want to say Black men, period, because we need to be here. You know, you gotta want to live for something. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. I knew someone that suffered and with cancer and could have got cured. You know what I'm saying? But he refused to go to the doctor, and he died. I knew someone who wouldn't get the COVID shot, and he had underlying, you know, disorders, and he died. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like if we get the right people talking about this particular cause more so than not, it'll catch fire, and I think it'll change. I can't hear you.
You're on mute, Dr. G. Hold up. Say again.
I said, and you are the right person, and Reggie is the right person.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be a doctor. It has to be a man that a man respects, that a man trusts, and just a man saying, and I am so frustrated. I am, as a public health consultant, advocate. Something happened just before I got on this call, and I was talking to a man, and I asked him to reach out to someone who was a man to move a process along health related. And he said to me, well, I don't know him like that. And I'm like, so let me understand. I said, I'm a woman, and I believe that a man can convince a man before I can convince him. What I need from you is for you. I told him you are going to call him. I did what they call a third-party referral. I said, now at this point, I need you as a man to talk to this man and come up with a strategy and come back and tell me how we should handle this. And we couldn't overcome that communication hurdle. And I walked away from the call loving this guy, you know, as a professional, but frustrated, saying, what is it? Why is it that men feel like I don't know this dude, so I can't talk to this dude, or I can't express to this man. Isn't being a man enough? I mean, for women, we kind of, you're a woman, I'm a woman, we kind of just like flow like that.
I think that black men, we are a lot of times very guarded because of experiences that we have gone through where we have trusted someone and we've gotten ourselves hurt, right? Just like, the worst thing a lot of times you can do to a man is break his heart if you're a woman, right? That's the worst thing you can do because it takes so much for a man to give you his heart.
Correct.
That once you violate that trust, it is a life-changing experience a lot of times.
Are you transferring it? Are you so because I'm just trying to understand this. So if a male has been hurt by a woman, does that transfer to your lack of trust in talking to or engaging black men?
If you have not done the work, if you have not spoken with someone who can help you process those thoughts and those emotions, I think that can absolutely spill into your relationship with black men. That can spill into your relationships with anybody because trust is trust. And once my trust has been broken, like my trust in humanity has been broken, that ain't just for women. That means that I'm going to start being more guarded around everybody, right? Especially if it's somebody that I don't know, right? You're asking me to build a connection with someone I don't know when this person that I've loved and respected for however long broke my heart, took my trust. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's just how we as men, that's how we operate. That's how we
So I'm coming back to you, man, again, asking, so what is, I don't expect you to have all the answers, but what is the solution? Because our men are dying. And women, I'm going to be honest with you, I just see how we're having the kind of impact that, look at the number of young men that are killing themselves. They're being, in many cases, and I'm not saying all, but they're being raised by women. And at a certain age, young men are going to be young men, and when they don't have a male present to check them, they going to be running the household.
And that's true. That's true.
And so what is, so one of the things I heard you say, Dion, was seeking, and it was said earlier, seeking mental health support or seeking an avenue to deal with your issues is one way, but. And in addition to that, then what recommendations do you have for people like me who are in public health, who have a commitment? A man raised me from the age of 8 until I left to go to college. I had no mother raising me. My dad was my mama and my daddy, except for, he introduced us to women that kind of womanized us. But for the most part, I am who he was, and that's a blessing and a curse. But I'm seeking in my public health work in my final days a remedy, a solution, a strategy for getting men to guide men to health, to better health.
Exactly.
And I think that strategy, Dr. G, comes with building trust. I think you have to be the one to build the trust with those men. I don't think it is impossible to build trust. I just think as a man, I think it becomes harder as you get older for you to trust people.
And I see it, and I'm like, the older you're getting, the worse the more hard-headed you become. What is it?
And that's true because when they were younger, they were so hard. No one,
You were open. I thought y'all was open when you were young.
But when you get older, that shell become harder. Just think about it. When the last time someone in their 60s, 70 years, in the 60s or 70s said "I love you" to their son?
Oh, absolutely. Hug them. And what is it? All this is related to the health work we're doing because you talk about a healthy mind. I asked someone just the other day, when did we get to a point where black males feel like they can let their sons go? Like you don't have to hug them no more. You don't have to say I love you anymore. You don't want to spend time with them like you did when they were young. Now they a man. Get out there and do it. Who was that? Reggie who said just get out there and do it. Just handle it.
Yeah, that's what you've been told.
Probably when they need you more than any point in their life because of the pressures that they're under. And I'm convinced that's why our boys are dying. They have, they're killing one another. And this is a public health issue. Most of them don't have even a doctor to go to. They have no health insurance. Can't remember the last time their teeth were checked. If as a man who has insurance with a young man who is not 25, is it 25 or 26?
I think it's 26.
Put them on. Why aren't we putting our sons on our insurance so they have a health home?
Absolutely.
I wanna before we run out of time, there's another topic that I want us to touch on that pertains to this a little bit. What do you say, Dr. G?
Sex? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you said.
I know you always down to talk about sex, Dr. G. I know.
Well, no. I'm hearing a lot from the women front, and I was just wondering. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. So not sex per se, but relationships.
Okay.
Because we live in a time and a space where I personally feel like social media is dictating a lot of what people think and feel about romantic relationships, right? And Kev, I know you are married for several years now. Reg has been married, no longer is married. I am married. What do you think the attitude is of men pertaining to relationships, just as a whole, when they come into the barbershop? Are men just as bad as they make us seem on social media, or are we? Is there a balance where you're seeing men and again, we're just talking relationships. When you have conversations about relationships and dating and all of those things, what does it look like from your perspective? Because I think the barbers, y'all just like the bartenders. Like we come in there, we talk to y'all about anything. We tell you about the night we had. We tell you how many we had last night. How we give you the whole play.
Right.
What is the thoughts and the feelings around relationships and dating amongst men that you see coming into the shop?
For me, it varies amongst age group.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, guys in my age group, they in the chasing. You know what I mean?
They outside.
Yeah, they outside. But that's actually I see a lot of them now getting married. A lot of my friends my age are getting married. But younger guys, they most definitely in the chasing. Even some older guys. Yeah, niggas chasing. I ain't gonna tell niggas out here chasing. I had to think about niggas out here chasing.
Well, the ratio is 15. The ratio is 15 to 1.
I try to give nigga a little credit.
You try to clean it up.
Roll runner.
Well, for me, I agree. But like Red saying, it's a mixture. You got, and to be honest, you got those guys that been married for years that act like they're not married.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys that are not married, acting like they are married, being possessive and being controlling. And then you got guys who just won't step up to the plate and marry her. I know guys right now have been dating 15, 20 years, man.
Facts.
And to me, I can only blame the woman. Like,
absolutely.
You put up with this,
Absolutely.
So, I had to make a decision, about marriage, and that's what I wanted to do. But I can't knock the brother who doesn't want to get married because he has his own reasons, And in the barbershop, man, we hear a lot. We see a lot, and, we're therapists, you guys talk to us about everything. And some of these chicks are not, they live in foul out here, that's what I'm hearing.
And I'd like to put a thought in here, and I'll leave it there. I told you my dad raised me.
Correct.
And so, and it wasn't that he was a great talker. It wasn't that he mentored me in womanhood or told me about men. He showed me through his behavior what good men should be and how they should behave.
Right.
And in watching him, I learned how I would handle myself. So I understand how important the male is to not just the woman and the children, females he sires, but he's also critical to these boys who he sired. And I totally agree with you that what I think these men are dealing with in part is a result of women who never got raised by their daddies, whose daddies were not there, showing them what does a good man look like and how should you behave as a woman, as a young woman. And so I go back to the premise that black men matter,
Of course.
that their absolute presence dictates a level of respect when they take ownership of it.
Right.
And our job in public health should be to help them visualize what their lives would be like in part if they were living well and if they were healthy and they were not experiencing experiences that actually impact their manhood. Prostate cancer, prostate issues impacts their ability to be intimate, which impacts their relationships.
Right.
Why do we have so many young men taking Viagra? I haven't figured that out yet. Taking enhancement drugs.
But they try to go in there.
They ain't taking Viagra no more, Dr. G. They taking them honey packs.
Oh,
They trying to put a mud hole in somebody.
They on that honey.
But one thing that I don't do to my boys that was done to me, and I don't do it to any young men, is that when I was growing up, my uncles and my cousins, they were like, boy, I'm 13, 14, you ain't fucking yet, you ain't did this. So that's something that I would never do to my boys because I don't want them to go. So what happens is you start to have sex early, right? You start to juggle. Like I asked my boy, you kiss him out, you got a girlfriend. But a lot of guys grow up having sex early and juggling multiple women early. So you do that from 16 to 30. So you've been dealing with multiple women these whole times, and now you meet this good woman, and now you've never practiced monogamy before ever. So now you trying to like stop a train that's been going at 100 miles an hour immediately. Right. It doesn't work like that. So you fuck up good relationships, and and that's one thing that I hope that I wish we would stop doing to little boys is exposing them to sex. Like you're gonna be fucking way longer than you not. That's what I told my son, right?
Protect them against older women. You need to protect them from older women who, for whatever reason, can't find a mate of their own, of their age, appropriateness, and they are going back in the food chain, grabbing up young men who see it as pure intrigue, but introducing them to things that their peers would never know about or introduce them to. So to your point, putting them on this fast track train, and by the time they're 30 years old, they've done it all, seen it all, and don't know where to go from here.
And I think that's like the worst drug, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
If you ever get hit of that base, you chasing it for the rest of your life. I'm serious. I said that. Honestly, I said, I think that was one of the worst things that happened. You get active when you were young.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like, no matter what you do, you can be a professional, you can have your life in order, but it's something about a woman. And if a man don't have control over that, she will control him for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
So
you'll make bad decisions.
You spend the rest of your life trying to get back in it.
So how do you teach, where does spirituality beliefs come into teaching our children self-control. That all, like the Bernstein Bears, everything that looks good ain't good.
Mhm.
But how do we teach them self-control? So how do black men teach black boys how to redirect their loins, if you will, because it'll put them on a pathway that is difficult to get off.
I think you
I
just
believe
gotta.
you can. I'm sorry, Reg. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You gotta make it relatable.
Yes.
I believe you gotta make it relatable. So I give you how I taught my boys. Well, not taught, but we still teach. But what I did to my sons, so they can really, really grasp how powerful and dangerous sex is. I'm gonna make it a long story. I'm gonna make it quick. I'm a gun guy. I got a lot of guns, right? And I keep my guns locked away. And told my boys to come in. I got an AR. I had my AR laid on the floor, right? And I'm just like, because I went through their phone. I saw the sex this. Okay, so now, boom, I got to intervene. So they come in. I got the gun on the floor, right? You sit here. You sit here. I'm right here. I'm like, yo, how would you feel if I told you to pick this up and go outside and play with it? They like, oh, nah, that's dangerous. It's dangerous. But I related that to sex because sex is that dangerous. Like, sex can kill you. It can kill somebody. It can change your life, and it can change somebody else's life. So I tell my boys, like, don't rush into sex. Like, it's. I know you hear you see the videos, you hear it in my music in the car. I'm guilty of it. Like, don't rush into it, man, because like I always tell them, you can be having sex longer than you not having sex, man. You can wait. And if you ever think you're ready, man, please talk to me.
Right.
Talk to me, man. And you just got to make it relatable, and you got to stay on it. You can't be shy. Like I'm not a dad that say vagina and drugs. I talk to my kids how peer pressure gonna talk to them. That guy in their class ain't gonna say, man, huh?
What'd you say? What'd you say?
Yeah. That guy in your class ain't gonna say, man, old girl over here got good vagina. Now he say she got some good pussy. So I don't want it to be a shock value when they hear it from. I want to hear it from me. Because peer pressure doesn't disguise itself. It's gonna come into you, and I don't want you to be shaken up by it. Like, nah, my dad told me X, Y, and Z, so now I'm better prepared to handle that situation.
And that's what I was saying earlier. To piggyback on what you were saying, you got to be relatable. But when they get to school, they listening to their homeboy. And if their homeboy got an older brother or uncle that talking to them like our older cousins and uncles talk to us, and the first thing I said, man, you scared, you ain't trying to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And now he feeling like, oh, now I'm pressured, so now I have to do something. But if I can tell, and I have boys too, and we're not at the age where we're talking about it, but trust me, we will have this conversation, and I would definitely tell them, like, take your time.
How old are they?
10 and 13.
And how old are your sons, Reggie?
My boys is 13 and 12. They're in the 7th grade, but I was fucking in the 7th grade. So I tell them, like, nah, like, I lost my virginity in the 6th grade.
See?
So may I make a recommendation, whether they use it, whether they read it, but you gave it to them, so it may mean something. Mm-hmm. So there's a book called What's Happening to My Body, book for boys. You can order it online or whatever, but it talks about everything from a sexual health perspective, from wet dreams to hard-ons to female anatomy.
What's the name of the book again?
It's called What's Happening to My Body, book for boys. And there's one for girls too. So for preteens, teenagers, instead of buying them, we say you got a Bible in the house, but you don't have a resource in the house. Right. So I always encourage parents and especially men to give to their sons a book of knowledge so they can at least have it as a resource in their library. And you can say, while you checking it out, if there's anything in there you don't get, bring it to me. I'm not sure if I can answer it, but I can read what you read, and we can see if we can figure it out together, because you need to know how this stuff functions. In closing, as a person that ran an AIDS organization for 28 years, who served from the age of 8 all the way up to 80, people who came in to get tested for HIV, STIs, from chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, to getting treatment in our night clinic. The one thing that we must continue to do is to give knowledge. Not it said, and it says that we need to seek help when we see something. They say if you see something, say something. So the proverb that says, the African proverb says, a man that hides his disease cannot expect to be cured.
Mm.
And so that tells us that we need to seek knowledge, as if in Proverbs it says, seek it like silver. Seek it like with a sense of desperation. Seek it like you seek out your hair. Seek it like you the tickets to the concert that you want to go to. Seek it with a passion. And if we start doing that as a people and start sharing that information with one another, we might prolong our lives.
Mm.
And I know we're at time, but I want to throw another question out there to Reggie and Kevin. What is your approach to single mothers who bring their sons into the barbershop? Are you all taking on a role of mentor? Are you all taking on a role of, that ain't my responsibility, I'm just here to cut the hair? Like, what is the role that you all play in the lives of young boys who come into your shops with their single mother?
Yeah, I try to take a role of mentorship and leadership. I really don't have, my heart is for kids. I really don't have compassion for adults. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of like, not really at all. I really don't have a warm heart to adults. Not even the least bit. But children and single mothers are the things that got me, because I was raised by a single mama who's working 2-3 jobs. So I know what it feels like to miss out on shit, and I know how it feels to be in that situation. So that's what really tugs at my heart. So yeah, man, I always tell the kids too, man, like, even when we have conversations about, like, I always ask them, they like 15, 16, like, oh, you got a girlfriend, you having sex, this. So and I keep it open, I keep it light, but I also, try to drop jewels, like I told you before, man, make sure you wear the condom, man, because you ain't gonna stop him. Once he tell you he didn't start it, he ain't stopping. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So yeah, not at all. So I just tell them, man, make sure you're using a rubber, man. Holler at me if you need me, man. All my young clients, I use the app, so they all got my number, and I get texts from them time to time. They tell me come check their games out or whatever. But I most definitely try to be a mentor to them, because I'm in a position by having Kev as one of my mentors. So without a mentor from a barbershop, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
That's what I was getting ready to say. It's amazing how we having this conversation. And as far as mentorship, like, Reg was one of my mentees, but more like my little brother. Right. And I always try to take on the mentorship when, the single mothers. I've been doing it so long. I look at some of the kids now, they graduated from high school. I'm like, wow, so, they all sending me them graduation announcements. I'm like, oh, you got to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
But I really try to, like Reg said, build a relationship with them, because once they get to the point where they can trust you, the mother feel comfortable with you, and there's nothing attached to that. She really looking for that person that, hey, you need to talk to him. He's cutting up right now.
Facts. You get that a lot.
That's right. I get that all the time. Hey, I knew one kid years ago. He was probably like 8-9 years old when I first met him, and I told his mom something. I said, listen, don't raise someone now that you're going to hate later.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, what? I said, trust me. You're giving him everything. Everything is yes. He's talking to you any kind of way, right? Fast forward years down the road, right? She reached out to me and she said, Kevin, I need your help. I said, why? She said, such and such got to go to this alternative school. I was like, what? She said, but he won't go unless you agree to be his mentor. I said, wow. So they had to run all my information, run your background, make sure you don't have no criminal record and all that good stuff. And he went to the school and he finished. And now he's, working and doing what he's supposed to do. And I said, wow, that's amazing. And he was like, I always looked up to Mr. Kevin. I was like, wow, really? So you never know who's watching you, because the camera is always on you, man. When you're in opposition, they're looking at us. So that's what I do.
Yeah, y'all need to learn how. You have to figure out a way to monetize that.
They're
Yeah.
doing it for the people, Dr. G. They're doing it for the people. They're doing it
Well,
for the greater good.
there's structural things that allow what Kevin just said
Mm-hmm.
to reach more people.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for single
Well,
moms in particular. Hmm.
yeah, I could see a big Kev mentorship
Yeah, it's coming.
group for single moms and their kids. And Reg don't care about grown folks, so
Still
it's
trying to
just
figure
kid
out when
folks.
Dion was coming to you all to get his haircut with all that hair. What were you cutting? Was that before?
Listen,
He ain't had that back then.
Oh no,
nah,
he had a brush cut.
this pandemic, yeah, this
He had
pandemic
he
hit,
had the
Dr. G.
Noriega.
Yeah.
Noriega brush cut.
When Kev said they was closed for 3 months, this all started when I can't get into the barbershop. Like this is
Exactly.
all from the
Yeah.
pandemic, and
Mm-hmm.
I just kept the party going.
Yep.
So thank y'all for joining us. This has been a great conversation. Make sure you like, share, subscribe if you want to listen to it on any podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those good things. Be sure to share it out. Reginald Lewis, thank you so much. Kevin Jones, thank you so much. If you're
Appreciate
in
y'all,
the
man.
Raleigh, Durham area, if you're in Knightdale, if you're in Wendell, if you're in Zebulon, and wherever you at, make sure you visit these brothers at their barbershops because they will get you right and you will
What's
have a
Kevin's
good time.
Barbershop Lounge?
Is Big Kev Cutting Up Barber Lounge.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Let me write that down.
That's like one of them old churches' names. You got all them names that like one of them old churches back in the day.
It's not in Africa. So big. Okay, say it again, Kevin. Big Kev's what?
Big Kev Cutting Up Barber Lounge.
Okay.
KUTT''N. Cutting up. Reggie,
And
like
Reggie,
that's why you
yours is?
smiling. You like that, don't you, Reggie?
Barber Kings.
I got that. I was getting ready to get
Come after you,
I
brother.
need a shirt.
Huh?
I need a shirt.
I got you.
Large.
Right.
It was a
Thank
pleasure.
y'all.
It's an absolute pleasure meeting you. I appreciate your candid views and you willing to share your ministry. It is a ministry.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you for
All right,
having
we'll
me.
see y'all on the next episode. Dr. G, check your text messages.
Yeah,
Other than that, man, we'll see
I
y'all.
holler back.
We'll see y'all on the next. You said what?
I holler back.
All
All
right.
right. All right, y'all.
All right.